So this edition contains 23 articles and infographics. Every article is accompanied by an infograph talking about the most important facts and figures. The information in those articles is based on data and facts, and that make the article, the atlas, really particular and important in our opinion. So the articles talk about the effects and the consequences of the ever-increasing use of pesticides. For example, the severe effects on health. 385 million people globally fall ill every year from pesticide poisoning. 385 million. Most of these victims live in the global south. The global pesticide market is increasing. The African continent had so far a relatively low share of in global sales, below 5%. But this is changing, and the African continent is considered a growing market, especially also for those products that are considered highly hazardous. And this is, of course, a great concern to us.
Pesticide imports to Kenya have increased rapidly from 6,400 tons in 2015 to 15,600 tons in 2018. But despite the increase in pesticide use, approval requirements are often not stringent enough, and regulatory authorities are very often under capacity and understaffed. 76% of the total volume of pesticides sold in Kenya, which equals to 195 products, contain one or more active ingredients that are categorized as highly hazardous pesticides. And these are pesticides that are proven to present a particularly high level of acute and chronic risk to humans or the environment. In Kenya, in 2020, a total of 25 different active ingredients were found in tomato and kale samples. 51% of the detected active ingredients are banned in Europe and some are categorized as highly hazardous pesticides. And 60% of all the samples exceeded the EU maximum residue level.
In Kenya and East Africa, what we have done is we have tried to look at the proteins that can be produced from these insects and formulate feeds so such that we can relieve the pressure of soybean and others. And we also went to the various stakeholders to see their willingness. More than 80-90% of the farmers are willing to adopt this when it is available. And we have tested the benefits in different systems. Clearly, an insect-based protein contributes to increased productivity of poultry, pigs, and also the fish.
In Africa, even though chemical pesticide use is increasing, there is still needs or ways to catch up because we have not polluted our environment so much. And this current outcry in requesting that we reduce chemical use is in line with what we are going to talk about this presentation. The use of chemical pesticide does not necessarily mean increase in yields. Actually, going for nature-based solution is the way to go because as you increase the use of chemicals, you do not necessarily increase your yield because you are interfering with natural processes. We have three versions of push-pull. We have the original push-pull, which is using a Desmodium silverleaf, Desmodium uncinatum, which is intercropped with Brachyria. This is the second version of push-pull, which uses Desmodium intortum, and then use Brachyria. And this is the last version, which use an African Desmodium, of which the seed can be produced here in Africa, and then use a border crop, which is called Brachyria piata. So these three versions of push-pull can reduce the pest up to 80%. If you can protect your maize crop up to 80%, then the remaining 20% could be compensated by the natural processes such as good availability of water, natural enemies that are present, or minimal intervention such as use of concoction.
So after evaluating all the submissions, the Departmental Committee on Health came up with 17 recommendations. And broadly speaking, they rotated around legal review of pest control, Product Act and regulations. The second recommendation broadly talked about review of products in the Kenyan market. Then it also talked about urgently enhancing funding of the regulatory agencies. Then it talked about PCPB publishing the list of products that have been withdrawn, banned in Kenya. It also talked about speeding up the completion of a pesticide residue laboratory currently under construction at PCPB. They talked of the Ministry of Health should be conducting epidemiological studies in areas where pesticides are used. They also talked about enhancing and promoting training and awareness creation on use of pesticides. They also recommended that the Ministry of Education should develop and operationalize a curriculum and introduce the topic of pesticide use at all levels. They also emphasized on the need to collect data on pesticide use and also introduction of a concept on concept of spray, using spray service providers. So this was actually sent to various institutions that have a responsibility to address these recommendations. There were 32 molecules that were mentioned in the petition, and so far we have been able to evaluate 4 active ingredients, that is diuron, diacroprid, pymetrozine, and chlorothalonil, and we prepared a report for consideration by the board. But before that, we felt there is need to share the information with the public, that's the recommendations of that team of experts, so that the public can make comments. The regulations provide for minimum qualifications of agrovets and also provides for registration of the dealers of those pesticides. It provides for adoption of globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals, unlike the current system where we are using the WHO classification. It also provides for licensing of spray service providers, which was also highlighted in the parliamentary recommendation. They provides for registration of qualified persons to handle pesticides in form of spray service providers. It also clearly provides the role of county government, particularly when they are conducting extension, and also to create awareness on issues to do with the pesticides and the management of pesticide empty containers. Currently, we have banned 43 products. If you go to our website, you'll find 43 products that have been banned, and we have others that have been severely restricted.
And I believe that we would do well to work together to achieve it. I will give you 2 examples of why the fight against pesticides is not a national one, or one that can only take place in limited protected areas. The first example is something we, the Green Party, are doing as part of the federal government here in Germany. Our Federal Minister for Agriculture and Consumer Protection, Cem Özdemir, has proposed introducing a ban on the export of pesticides that are harmful to health and are banned here. An export ban will end the double standards of banning active ingredients here because we unanimously agree they are too dangerous, while at the same time, our companies in Germany and Europe still export these ingredients to other countries where they harm and damage humans and nature. I know you are fighting to deregister and ban toxic pesticides in Kenya, and we are fighting to stop the export now.
They have to hold their mandate and their responsibility to a high standard, and they have to act urgently. As we have said, it cannot take 4 years or 3 years to review 4 active ingredients and take action on them. I think it's important that we put the urgency of these issues where it's supposed to be. So, I really want to urge that there is acceleration on that front. The new government must also realize that this is a situation where, you know, the old man said, usipoziba ufa utajenga nini? Ukuta. Because if you do not address, as Dr. Mokaya has said, who is a very good friend of mine, despite the age difference, but Dr. has said, if you do not address these issues, then you see them in the health, appearing in the healthcare system. And we do not want that, because it is more costly to deal with them, so we better deal with the issues that are there. And we want to encourage that we need to have conversations. There is a need for the government to actually invest in ensuring that consumers are safe and that the issues that are there should be arrested.